DayBreak, Chapter 6, Arise. Princess Luna stood upon her sister's throne. It was meant to be shared. Celestia's in the day, Luna's at night. But the sun was high in the sky, and banners with the solar symbol hung between the stained glass windows. There was no question whose throne it was, and there was no question that Luna was out of place. A large green-scaled dragon filled the audience hall. Her kind eyes looked down on Luna with uncertainty.
Hey. Greetings, Shardscale, chronicler of dragons in Equestria.
Luna bowed her head.
You are a most welcome sight, and I hope you find your accommodations acceptable. Oh, sure, it's nice. Good bed, lots of gems. I'm a simple gal.
Shard fidgeted a moment before pointing a claw at Luna.
It's nice to finally meet you, Princess Luna.
Luna blinked before raising her foreleg, hoof meeting claw.
Likewise.
Silence. Luna resisted the urge to fidget as well.
So, perhaps you could tell me what usually happens when you visit Equestria? Oh, sure.
Shard blew a jet of fire, which hung in the air. She swirled her claws through it, forming a large scroll and pen.
Usually, I have a little talk with Celestia about what's going on, and then I observe whatever I came to. You know, observe, then I talk with the witnesses, that sort of thing. I pretty much write it all down for posterity and stuff.
She put pen to paper and scribbled. Luna nodded.
Oh, so what might you be writing now? I'm transcribing this conversation.
Currently, she was scribbling down semi-furiously. Luna raised an eyebrow.
Really? Yep.
Even more scribbling. Luna watched the pen dance.
It sounds a bit exhausting. Not really, once you get used to it.
And even more scribbling.
How very odd,
Luna said.
So, do you have any specific questions? Not at the moment.
Shardscale dotted an eye.
I'd like a general overview of that night before getting into specifics, just so I know what's what right away, how things went down. So, what can you tell me about the event?
Luna slowly sat down. She looked at a nearby stained glass window, depicting her sister and her raising the celestial objects.
So, it's an event now?
Smoke billowed out of Shardscale's nostrils. The scales around her eyes slid together as the skin tightened.
Well, what am I supposed to call it? The greatest tragedy of our time comes to mind. She is not dead yet.
Luna clamped her mouth down hard.
She is not dead. She is injured and recovering. Then why can't I see her?
Shardscale bit her tongue.
Sorry, I'm just... Sorry. I can guess that you're dealing with a lot of junk right now.
Luna winced.
Yes, I am. Perhaps since it's high noon, we should retreat to the gardens for lunch.
Her horn glowed and she whispered into Shard's ear.
And a more private conversation.
Shardscale glanced back at the ponies waiting their turn to petition the crown. Most of them were hiding behind the massive doors leading into the hall, while a few waited on the sidelines, all but passed out from shock. She then grimaced.
Maybe that would be a good idea. Lunch sounds great.
She shuffled her way backwards out of the audience chamber. Two Bat Pony guards stood at Luna's side. She leaned into her left to speak with one named Snipe Hunt.
Have the artisans prepare a pile of high-quality gemstones and bring them to the gardens. Also, she will require a well-done Archaeopteryx steak.
Snipe nodded. At your command. He then spread his webbed wings and sailed off silently. The guard on her right, Skyhook, walked alongside her on her way to the garden.
Do we have anything to fear from Shardscale, my lady?
Luna lit her horn to whisper in Skyhook's ear.
Not fear, but concern. She is an old friend of my sister's, but she is also a thorough record keeper. We must all watch what we say. The lie cannot be undone yet. Understood.
The warm colors of fall leaves bellied the chill in the air. Luna slid a light blue shawl around her shoulders. Her hooves swooshed through the leaves that hadn't been cleared from the paved path. When she eventually arrived at the center of the garden, with its stone benches and tables, its patches of dormant flowers, and its centerpiece of an ancient tree, a picnic had already been set out. Snipe Hunt stood watch in the boughs of an old oak, nearly invisible unless one was looking for him. Even then, all that stood out was a faint shadow among sticks. Behind the tree, Shardscale struggled to get comfortable in surroundings that weren't designed for dragons. Her tail slithered through a hedge maze, her wings pressed tight against her back to prevent them from blowing the fall leaves into a whirlwind, and her claws nestled themselves between bushes and flower beds.
I am so sorry, Chronicler.
Luna said.
I can assure you that your accommodations in the courtyard will be a great deal more... roomy. It's okay. I'm used to it.
With her limbs positioned, Shard flopped onto the ground with a satisfied sigh. Something crunched beneath her belly.
Oh, a small matter.
Luna laid down on a soft blanket. She grasped several items in a bubble of kinetic force. A cup of water, a bag of dry beans, and 2 sugar cubes. The beans ground themselves into powder, the water heated itself and the sugar was mixed in with the rest. In a moment, Luna had a perfect cup of coffee. Shardscale smiled.
Like to brew your own cuppa, huh? It's a habit from my younger days.
Luna took a sip.
Do you drink coffee? Because if you do, I can't imagine the bill. Nah, you can never get it hot enough to notice. It all boils away before it even feels warm.
Shard snapped her claws.
Cold drinks? That's where it's at. Although I don't much care for the brain freeze, though. Oh yes, it is enough to drive a mare to...
Luna held herself back from saying insanity.
Distraction. If we could get rid of brain freeze, I feel my consumption of frozen drinks would triple.
The wind blew leaves between them. Luna held a foreleg to shield her face, but Shard just snorted them away. Shard then tapped her claw tips together.
Look, about your she is alive, but hurt.
Luna set her hot coffee on the blanket and she met Shard's eyes.
We have a lead on who our attacker might be, and we have ponies searching for her. Celestia will heal, and then this whole thing can be over with.
She lifted her chin.
That is the gist of it, as you requested.
Shard nibbled a scale on her lip and pried it loose. She summoned her scroll and pen in a plume of flame and scribbled down her notes.
Well, I guess that'll do it then.
Luna brushed a lock of shimmering mane out of her eye.
I'm sorry, but to tell you more could place many, many ponies in mortal danger. If word got out into the wrong hooves, it could cost everything. Look, I trust you to try and do the right thing.
Shard gripped the scale between her teeth as she wrote.
I really do. It's just that others are going to have questions. President Mangle, Seabreeze, King Andean, they're not going to be satisfied with that. They're going to want to know what happened to Princess Celestia.
Luna stood up.
She was hurt. That's all there is to it. Hurt by a madmare who needs to be put down. Nothing I can say to you, or Andean, or Mangle, or Seabreeze will help anything.
A pony walked up, rolling a cart full of gemstones behind him. He set it before Shardscale and hurried off. Shard popped a ruby into her mouth.
Maybe I want to help. Maybe Celestia's my friend too, and not just a pony I write about. And maybe you could use a giant kick-butt dragon on your side.
She lit her scroll on fire and watched it vanish back to where it came.
Please, I'm asking as a friend. Please tell me what happened.
Luna's eyes grew hard.
And then what of your duties? What of the reprimands you will undoubtedly receive from Leviathan should he find out you neglected to record something? Now, who said that he had to find out?
Shard made a fist.
Can I trust you not to rat me out? And can I trust the guard next to you?
She glanced at the tall oak.
Or Mr. Don't look at me, I'm a tree.
Snipe Hunt grumbled in the branches. Luna set her jaw.
What you ask is a hard and dangerous thing. Hey, maybe if you tell me about it, I can help you make up a cover story for Andean. He's coming soonish, you know, and you can't just tell him what you told me.
She gave Luna an uneasy grin.
You think I'm pugnacious and tenacious? Youch.
A Pegasus flew in, bearing a platter. She uncovered the steak with a flourish and left it steaming before Shardscale. Skyhook eyed it, a bit of saliva collecting in her mouth. She pointedly ignored it and continued to scan for threats. Luna shut her eyes.
Celestia was stabbed in the heart with a Royal Guard spear, stolen from one of her personal guards. She is currently lying in a comatose state, surviving with the help of an oxygen pump and all the ambrosia we can spare. Her brain activity is consistent, but she hasn't moved since that night at the opera.
Luna glared up at the dragon.
I don't care who you tell, as long as you keep this a secret until the investigation is over and Celestia is once again in her proper place.
Shard's lips trembled.
Okay. And if word gets out, and some pony gets hurt, and I find out that it was your fault,
Luna said, her voice shaky.
You will die. Do you understand? Hey, I take it. It's cool, it's cool.
Shard zipped her lips.
Tight lid.
They ate silently, Shard her steak and Luna her salad. When she was done, the dragon picked her teeth with her loosened scale.
Do you have any clue why Andean's coming to visit?
She asked.
He is not too fond of Equestria as a whole, so I doubt that it's a holiday.
Luna pulled the shawl tighter.
The timing is awfully coincidental.
Shard frowned.
You don't think that he has something to do with the assassination, do you? Maybe. Maybe not.
Luna pressed her wings against her sides to hold off a sudden breeze.
Celestia would say it is a dangerous thing to assume anything. Yeah, and maybe add something about pointless speculation.
Shard blinked. She wiped her eyes, leaving her claws sizzling.
Dang, she needs to get better. I'm gonna be a wreck until she does.
Luna nodded.
I recommend a quart of ice cream. Or, in your case, a bath.
Shard tossed an emerald into her mouth. She sucked on it, letting it dissolve away.
Well, yes, maybe if I start saving up on gems instead of eating them, maybe then I could actually afford it.
This is an obvious, but I can only imagine how much all of this is eating up Luna. Because it's certainly the worst to have someone who you know die, especially a sibling, but there's something that's even more daunting to know that your loved one is still alive, but is barely clinging to life, or at least it seems like that. It's really torturous. Now, let's get off of that dark note and let's get on to our bright donators. Top donators, Dash of Evergreen, Peter Coulthard, J Tinman, and Darkside. CourierCruz CI, Delta Omega, RuneScythe9852, Dosbo, Rhyny Dragonwolf, Secret Moon, Tall Rasha, The Toilet Snake, Cerberus, Starlight Glimmer, Squiddy Boy, David D. Sanchez, Soul Dragon, Gaggy, Trey, Shadow Drake, Joe Piercy, Alex F., Rainbow Dash, Teal'c Anderson, TV Killer, and John Becker. Thank you all very much for watching this video, live life to the fullest, and hold on to your family and loved ones very dearly.